it's when you love to compete, you love to be tested. And I thought Butler did a great job of testing us today and pushing us today. And anybody that doesn't know anything about anything will look at the record and say, well, they're all in. Well, or they're one in because they beat Brigham Young. But they did a great job of spreading the floor, spacing the floor, getting their people shots against our pressure. And they're just getting their team together. They haven't played together the entire season, so they're getting players together that have not been playing together. So I thought Butler did a great job pushing us in the first half, and then I thought our players did a great job of having to come back and have to have the adversity quotient to be able to overcome the adversity of being down and the 6 points at halftime, and then have to fight their way back out of that hole, and then have a really a Butler team that's now feeling, we let them feel good about themselves, but they made themselves feel good about themselves. That was their doing as much as ours. And then have to hold off a good Butler team in the middle of the second half, and then close the game up and put it away in the last 5 to 7 minutes. So I was just really proud of the way the players didn't get down on themselves in a game like this. And they did do it without a key starter. Megan Picoa has been on the Big East honor roll the last 2 weeks, and she's really hitting her stride. So she's a very important player for us. So we missed a key player as well. So I'm just really proud of our team, and I'm proud of the win.
Coach, what do you attribute your second half performance to?
Well, you can't just run around. Pressure is not just running around like 5-year-old kids playing soccer. That's not what pressure is supposed to be. So there has to be some wisdom to what you're doing, and I think we weren't real sharp with some of our choices in the first half, and we tried to clean those choices up early and tried to adjust some things that were not really very adjusted on the fly. And when our players didn't go from mouth to ear to brain to body back on the floor after a couple of timeouts when we were trying to adjust some of the pressure. So I really just think that the pressure in the first half was as much, you just get out of it. But you also saw the second half why we have to go up the floor. Teams can isolate our size and really just pound it inside. So you have to make the team we have is a very talented team, but we're a very small team. And when you lose a Megan Picoa, that you're even smaller, and then you really just have to. You really have to. That's why we have to spread it over the floor, but you have to spread it with wisdom. You just can't go running around and running crazy, and that's what gave a very good coaching staff and a very good group of players, the space, and we just weren't really wise with what we did. And then as we cleaned that up and got more intelligent with what we were trying to do, I think you saw the game turn. And in the second half, our players really, we have good players, and we have prideful players that have pride, players that want to win. So I really thought, again, I just thought it was a really, I'm not happy that we were down at halftime or that we gave Butler life and all that kind of good stuff. But at the same time, if you look at the season as experience and you look at all the times of different experience that you're trying to get, I'm just proud of how they hung together in the second half and hunkered down in the second half and did what we had to do to turn this thing from 6 down to, I think we led by 22 at one point. So we turned to 28, 29 points in the second half. So that's still pretty good basketball. I mean, that's still a pretty big turnaround. So that's the way I tell you guys all the time, every game has a life of its own, so you just don't get overly nutty about the 4 minutes here when we're up 24 to 10 or whatever it was, or 24 to 12 or whatever it was, or the 4 minutes when they run at us and take the lead at 25 to whatever. You don't get overly nutty about any of those 4-minute segments and stay the course of all of them, and then look at the big picture when the game's over. I mean, it's a 16-point win, but it should have been a 20-point win. And our group at the end there let up 2 baskets I was not pleased with, but that's just life. That's it. If you play for DePaul, you're expected to compete to the end. Not just we have a belief here. There's no such thing as garbage time. There's only get better time. So you go on the floor and we're up 22 points. You better come off the floor with us up 22 points, or you didn't compete. So that's again, I don't want to over obsess about that. I'm proud of what our players did, and I'm really happy for our league that Butler was able to show that they're going to be that competitive.
Brittany, it seemed like you had a really nice day shooting threes. Could you just talk about your game and why you were so successful today beyond the arc?
I was open. My teammates got me the ball. I knocked it down. Wasn't nothing crazy. I just made shots. So.
It's an amazing game how easy it is when you make shots, man. it's there's so many things about the game that have to be done when you're not making shots. And good players and good teams make things happen when the shot is not dropping. They find other ways to do what they do. And that's why, you know what basket I'm the most proud of hers? The rebound basket. She got a rebound put back today. I'm proud of that one. That's the 2 points I'm proud of. Stuff. I mean, she's always got the green light. She's got the ability to shoot the ball. So you got to, some nights are going in, some nights are not. When they're not going in, what are you doing to make yourself valuable for the team? And that's what everybody's got to kind of learn on the fly here.
Jessica, could you talk a little bit about your play in the paint? I think you had 24 against A&M. You had about 23 tonight. It seems to me that you're a lot more comfortable in the paint than maybe perhaps most or some guards are.
Yeah. Well, tonight I had a mismatch like the majority of the game, so I was just trying to score layups, so I was posting up as much as I could.
Is that something you're comfortable doing?
Yeah.
No, she was our best. She was our best go-to post player tonight. And she established that early. I thought she was strong in the first half. I thought she got knocked around quite a bit in the first half, but that's life. You got to be able to take the knocking around when you're in the paint. And then in the second half, we just we wanted her to get touches in the paint. That's some of the tricky parts of coaching and teaching basketball. You can't make shots like Britt made shots from outside if you catch the ball thinking post feed. You have to catch the ball and shoot her ready to rip. So we had something going on here where she's knocking them down from 22 and 23 feet, and Jess is knocking them down on the paint. Probably the simplest thing to do is probably switch sides of the floor so that one of the kids that wasn't knocking them down on one side was opposite the side of Jess. But, be that as it may, they can't shoot the ball on the perimeter catching it post-feed ready. The mental priority of this game is shooter ready, to drive ready, to post-feed ready. And if they take the shot from you, then you better dadgum get the ball inside into the post. And so that was happening tonight where Britt was hot and so was Jess. And probably the wisest thing to do in the game is try to get them opposite one another. So another shooter that wasn't so hot. Well, I mean, that's just basketball. So Brooke Schulte be hot the other night against Northwestern and then couldn't buy an outside shot tonight. That's basketball. I mean, it doesn't mean Brooke's a bad shooter. Britt's had, it's just weird. You go to sleep at night as a coach imagining that your players are going to make every shot, but still, when you're shooting the ball from three-point land, you shoot 33% from out there. That's good shooting. So 50% are just when you're making threes. It's a lot easier basketball game. I'd take the 95 shots we took against Northwestern again, and we didn't knock them down, and so that's always a big deal.
Coach, with Notre Dame next week, what does the team have to do in the meantime, like in Chicago State in practice, to prepare for that game?
Well, first of all, Matt, we can't even think about Notre Dame. We have to think only of Chicago State. All right, they're the next team on the schedule, and they're the best team in America. That's how we approach this. The next team is the best team. So the number one team in the nation right now for us is Chicago State. All right, Notre Dame also has Maryland tonight, and they have UConn on Saturday. So I can't worry about what Notre Dame's got to do. We've got to keep getting better. I'm really excited for this ball club, but at the same time, we have so much more to get better at. And what's tricky is the only time you can really get better is in practice. You got to get better on the fly during games too, but you got to get better in practice. And with so many games, it's hard to practice, and it's hard to. One of the tricky things about how we play, it's hard to practice the way we play and have them ready for games, because you're trying to save legs for games, and then when you save legs to give them their legs during the games, you're not getting them physically prepared for how we play. So there's a conundrum for a coach right there. I mean, if you run them all over the place like we do in games, then in practice, then they're dead for games. And if you rest them, then they're not really physically fit to do what they got to do. So it's a tough dynamic. But I mean, we got to just get better as a team. We got to get Megan Picola back healthy. That's not one of the number one things we have to do. We have to get better in practice tomorrow. We have to play well against Chicago State and really, start fitting the pieces together. I'm still searching for, bench rhythm. It's another part of the first half was me being random. Coaches at this time of the year, some days I choose to be random. We're better coaching staff. Everyone is when you have a real simple, coordinated rotation off the bench. And in your dream world, you'd like it to be every player can replace every other player, and it's a perfect replacement. But the dynamic of the game doesn't work that way. So we played a lot of kids in the first half on purpose. We wanted everybody to get some time in there and see what was going to happen, and it got a little bit messy. So you're asking what we got to do for Notre Dame. We got to get Pico back. We got to start finding some rhythmic rotation. We know the starting five is, and we know that Centrise and Brooker are helping us off the bench, as is Brandy Harvey-Carr, but what's the rotation beyond that? And if that is the rotation of those groups who plays best together, I'm still, we're still searching for a lot of answers with this team. Everybody thinks it's the same team as last year, but it's a very different team minus one player. And that's the dynamic of basketball too. You miss one player, and it's not like, we miss Jazz because she's a great young woman, and we miss Jazz because she's a great teammate. We miss Jazz because she was an unselfish teammate. We miss Jazz because she's competitive, but also there's how Jazz plays. And nobody plays exactly like Jess, and nobody plays exactly like Britt, and nobody plays exactly like Jazz did. So you got to find that little. We're still trying to search and find that as well.
Do you think Megan will be back by Sunday?
Hard to say. It's not my hamstring. It's they got to figure that. It's hopefully. Hopefully she's back by tomorrow, but I don't know. The hamstrings are tough things, are tough injuries.
Are you able to say if she heard that in the Northwestern game or not?
She heard it the first time when she's twisted her ankle earlier in the season. So it's been nagging her since then. And then it pulled in the practice after Northwestern. We were off on Sunday, and then practice Monday, and Monday's practice is when it went totally kaput.
Any questions?
Thank you.
Thanks for covering all the hoops.